Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and we're going to review the HTC One M8. I've been using this phone for about 3 weeks since it came out, and I wanted to use it completely before I gave you my opinion on it, but we'll go over the specs, we'll go over the design, and some of the problems I might have found with it as well. So this phone comes in at $199 with a 2-year contract. That's on Verizon, which this is the Verizon branded phone, and it's really nice, and right now there's a buy one get one free deal, so if you needed 2 of them, you could get that. That's a pretty good deal, and I'd be sure to check it out. So let's talk a little bit about the specs of the phone. The first thing you'll notice is the large display. It's a 5-inch display with a 1080p resolution with 441 pixels per inch. It also has an incredible processor inside. It's a 2.3 GHz Quad-Core processor. It also has 2 GB of RAM. Now, if you're overseas in Asia, you may have a 2.5 GHz processor inside of it instead. Aside from that, we have expandable storage, up to 128 GB of storage using a micro SD card. And we also have some cameras on the back, which is one of the things that people either love or hate about it. It's got a dual camera system with some effects. I covered some of that in a different video, but I'll show you that as well. And it's 2 4-megapixel cameras on the back. We have a dual LED flash that's got different colors, so we can have a little bit better color reproduction when we take images in low light. On the front, we have a 5-megapixel camera. We also have Beats audio on the front with dual speakers, and the speakers are really great. On the top of the phone, we have our power sleep wake button. We have an IR blaster, so we can use it to control our television, things like that. On one side, we have the volume rocker and our SIM card slot. On the other side, we have room for our micro SD. On the bottom, we've got our micro USB charge port. We also have our headphone jack for 3.5 millimeter headphone. Now, the first thing we think about with phones is usually call quality. And I did place quite a few calls with this, and only on one occasion did someone have a difficult time hearing me. I did check to make sure I had good signal, and that did, for whatever reason, the person couldn't hear me, so I had to call them back and they could hear me. So I'm not sure if that's the phone, or it was just our connection, or it was them on that end, but I could hear them fine and the speaker was fine, and it's got a great loud volume as well. The battery inside is pretty large. It's a 2600 milliamp hour battery, and it should last you at least a day and a half. In my tests, it usually lasted a couple days. When I was being a heavy user, first using it, it easily lasted a day, and then it lasted me a couple days with regular use. So it's got a really great battery in it, and that helps a lot when you're on the go, and then you can quick charge it as well with their charger that's included. So that helps also. The phone is running Android 4.4.2 KitKat, but also comes equipped with HTC's latest version of Sense. And this version of Sense is much better than the other versions, in my opinion. It's less intrusive and looks more like Google's own stock Android. And you've got this little blink feed if you swipe to the left here, and you've got this really nice news feed that you can look at, that you can set your news and everything else, and it's not intrusive. It's only there if you swipe to the left, and if you want to use Google Now, instead of swiping to the left, you just swipe up from the home button like you do on most Android phones, and you get Google Now. So it's not like the Google Now launcher. Blink feed takes its place on the left instead of that. The speed of the phone was fantastic. It's really fast, and you don't notice it, and that's probably the best part. It's fast enough that you don't notice it because it never lags, and it's never slow, and nothing ever causes any problems. And that's really how you want a phone to be. You don't want it to be so slow nothing works properly, and you don't want it to be so fast that it kills your battery life. And I never found that to be an issue whatsoever. Nothing ever was slow at all. One of the controversial things that HTC has done with the One is have 2 4-megapixel cameras on the back instead of a higher resolution camera. So they've made the sensor larger. The pixels in the sensor, or the light sensor, is picking up more light, so you should get a better image. However, 4 megapixels seems to be a little bit low, and if you try and blow those photos up, they get grainy as they get larger, and that really causes an issue when you're trying to take some quality images. Now, in low light, it does make a difference, and you will get better low light performance due to that, and you can still record in 1080p with video, and it looks great, but they really should have opted for a better camera. But because they've done 2 lenses instead of 1, or 2 sensors instead of 1, you get these awesome effects where you can change things. You can change the depth of field after you've taken the photo. And I hope more people do that. Now, some of those feel more like an effect than the actual image is changing depth. But I think the concept is right, and hopefully it improves over time. Now, after using the phone for a few weeks, I like to kind of see if I would revisit the phone and want to use it as my daily driver every day, continuing for the next year or 2. And I have to say, I do like to use the HTC One. I am generally an iPhone user, and many of you already know that. But I do like to use this quite often, and I like to go back to it because it feels like it's a really solid phone. It's got really high quality, build quality, and everything just seems to work great on it. There are a couple things I don't like about it. One is the vibration, I feel, is too strong. When it's on a table and it vibrates, you definitely know it, which is great. But when you're using the keyboard and using haptic feedback, it feels so strong that I wish you could turn it down a little bit. Being that it's thin, I've used it, like I said, for a few weeks, and picking it up off the dresser in the morning, I've actually dropped it a few times. I have it on my nightstand. You set alarms on it, things like that, listen to music with it, and it actually slips out of my hands. This aluminum is really nice, and most people will probably use a case, but it makes the phone really slippery. Without the case, though, it's great. It's super thin, feels great in the hand, but it's a little bit tall for my liking. But even though it's tall, I really like the large screen. The display is beautiful, it looks great, and has a really vivid display. It looks good in sunlight. I haven't had any problems there, and has been a great phone overall. One of the features I really like, though, is you can pick it up and double tap it to turn on the screen instead of clicking the button on the top. And I really like that feature and wish more phones would actually do that. It's really nice to have. The HTC One M8 is a great phone and definitely worth checking out. It could be your next phone. And there is the Google Play edition if you'd rather have the more traditional Google stuff instead of the HTC Sense stuff. And I would tend to go that way myself. But on a contract, this is a pretty incredible phone for $199, and buy one, get one free if you're planning to get a couple to upgrade to. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Is this phone enough for you, or would you rather have a Galaxy S5? Maybe you'd stick with an iPhone. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.